released the entire list of everybody that's partied with P. Diddy and did God knows what. It is extremely long, and some of these names surprise me, and it's heartbreaking. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds? They got Deadpool?
Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Tied to Diddy's alleged non-profit scheme on May 22, 2025, a whistleblower complaint filed with the U.S. Office of the Inspector General triggered a federal investigation implicating actor Ryan Reynolds and music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. At the center is the Wellness Initiative Fund, a non-profit allegedly co-founded by Reynolds and Diddy, originally presented as a mental health retreat network for celebrities and executives. Leaked documents now suggest it served as a financial shell to route hush money, off-the-books payments, and NDA settlements tied to Hollywood insiders. The internal documents, obtained by investigative journalist Lana Corsetti, paint a disturbing picture. Rather than supporting therapeutic efforts, the fund reportedly moved over $3.2 million in unexplained withdrawals under vague labels like executive health bonuses and confidential stress reimbursements. These funds were funneled through accounts in Luxembourg and the Cayman Islands, raising red flags among IRS analysts. One transfer of $175,000, marked emergency wellness support, was traced to a former film set assistant linked to Reynolds. A confidential audit, now leaked, alleges the fund was little more than a money laundering front disguised as philanthropy. The report outlines how legal teams, not therapists, dominated retreat gatherings in remote luxury resorts like those in Montenegro and St. Lucia. Attendees were required to surrender phones, sign strict NDAs, and participate in what one source called elite crisis management bunkers. Photos from one retreat showed Reynolds and Diddy seated at a long table with lawyers, no counselors present. Blake Lively's name appears in the fund's IRS 990 filings as a co-executive advisor, now placing her under federal scrutiny. Though she hasn't commented publicly, records confirm she attended multiple board meetings and signed off on quarterly reports that forensic accountants now deem misleading. Sources say she raised concerns in 2022, but was urged by Reynolds to trust the process. Her level of involvement, passive or complicit, is now under civil and criminal review. In a stunning twist, Lively filed a sealed civil lawsuit against Reynolds on May 14th, accusing him of deception and misuse of her image to legitimize the fund. She claims she was manipulated into signing an NDA at a retreat marketed as therapy. Her attorneys argue the NDA is void, obtained under false pretenses. Court documents allege she suffered reputational harm, emotional distress, and significant financial fallout, including the suspension of major brand deals. Meanwhile, Reynolds has been subpoenaed to testify before June 10th, following the discovery of his involvement with multiple shell companies tied to the fund. Prosecutors are reportedly considering charges under 18 U.S. Code Paragraph 371, conspiracy to defraud the United States, a felony carrying up to 5 years. In prison, he has declined voluntary interviews and retained criminal defense counsel. Diddy's team, distancing themselves, claims Reynolds acted independently after initial funding. Flight logs show Reynolds and Diddy made 6 private jet trips between 2022 and 2023 for strategic nonprofit consultations, none of which align with real charity events. One trip to St. Lucia, labeled a youth mentorship summit, coincided with a week the resort was closed for renovations. The Department of Justice now calls the fund an example of charitable fraud, and sources say more nonprofits may be under similar scrutiny. This may not be an isolated scandal, but the first domino in a broader unraveling of Hollywood's shadow philanthropy. It all began in 2023 with what seemed like a minor HR complaint, an easily dismissed footnote buried in Paramount's internal conflict mediation files. But what followed would spiral into one of the most publicly dissected celebrity apologies in recent memory. According to records from Paramount's Internal Ethics Review Committee, Ryan Reynolds was formally reprimanded after repeated instances of verbally inappropriate humor directed at a junior production assistant during the post-production phase of Free Agent. The assistant, a 26-year-old woman identified only as ES, in legal filings, alleged that Reynolds mocked her religious beliefs and sobriety in front of colleagues on at least 3 separate occasions. Trying to make amends, Reynolds reportedly sent a handwritten apology note to the assistant, along with a bottle of 2004 Dom Perignon Rosé Gold Methuselah valued at over $7,000. The gift was delivered to her home in Pasadena on November 2, 2023. Rather than soothing the situation, the gesture sparked outrage. The assistant, a devout Catholic and recovering alcoholic with 7 years of sobriety, posted photos of the gift and letter to her private Instagram story with the caption, "This is how Hollywood says sorry. Booze for the girl who doesn't drink." The story exploded across social media under the hashtag #RudigerChampagneGate. Screenshots of her post flooded Twitter and Reddit within hours. Advocacy groups like Sober Nation and the Catholic Women's Alliance released joint statements condemning Reynolds' apology as elitist, culturally insensitive, and morally negligent. The fallout was swift. On November 5th, Variety published a blistering editorial titled "The Myth of Ryan Reynolds When Charm Isn't Enough," calling the champagne apology a textbook case of PR malpractice. But instead of addressing the controversy sincerely, Reynolds took to X, formerly Twitter, with a flippant remark, "Next time I'll send flowers, or a Netflix password, or maybe just disappear." Meant to be witty, the tweet was widely seen as tone-deaf and dismissive. Criticism intensified. Within days, over 60,000 social media posts skewered Reynolds' response, with one viral comment reading, "It's not funny when the punchline is someone's sobriety." Another wrote, "When your brand is built on wit, what happens when the world stops laughing?" Blake Lively, who had remained publicly silent through Reynolds' earlier controversies, reportedly broke her silence behind closed doors after the champagne incident. According to a Page 6 report on November 7th, she told close friends during a dinner in Tribeca, "He can't read a room to save his career." That same week, a source from her PR team confirmed to Us Weekly that Lively had canceled 3 upcoming joint public appearances with Reynolds, citing a need for personal time and space. Though the couple appeared briefly together at a Tiffany event later that month, photographers noted a clear lack of interaction. TMZ later released footage showing Lively leaving the venue alone just 17 minutes after arriving. Meanwhile, the assistant involved in the original incident retained legal counsel and is reportedly pursuing civil action for workplace hostility and retaliatory harm. While no formal lawsuit has been filed as of May 2025, leaked legal memos suggest ongoing negotiations toward a private settlement. Reynolds' legal team has declined further comment, stating the matter is concluded, but public silence hasn't helped his image. A YouGov poll from April 2024 showed Reynolds' favorability rating among U.S. women aged 25-45 had dropped by 31% since the scandal first broke. Social media sentiment analysis by Pulse Metrics revealed that mentions of Reynolds trended 3.1 negative across all major platforms. On February 9, 2024, Reynolds was spotted outside the Marlowe Renewal Clinic in Malibu, a luxury mental wellness facility known for treating high-profile clients under media pressure. Wearing sweats, sunglasses, and a backwards cap, Reynolds appeared disheveled and visibly distressed. Paparazzi footage later confirmed by The Hollywood Reporter showed him chain-smoking and yelling into a cell phone. In one viral clip, viewed over 12 million times in 48 hours, Reynolds was heard shouting, "I told you I can't fix this. No one can fix this." By February 15th, sources confirmed that filming for Deadpool 3.5, The Multiverse Massacre, had been quietly postponed. Initially slated to begin production in March 2024, the Disney Marvel project was placed on indefinite hold. An internal email from executive Trina Velasquez, dated February 12th, cited ongoing legal complications and unresolved media entanglements involving Mr. Reynolds as major factors. Supporting cast contracts were frozen, and several crew members reassigned. How long can a billion-dollar franchise wait for its star to stop unraveling? Close confidants say Reynolds began withdrawing from nearly all professional and social obligations in early 2024. In March, director Sean Levy confirmed in an interview with Vulture that Reynolds had declined all calls and needed space to process everything. Even his longtime agent at CAA, Brian Ellison, took a leave of absence after Reynolds rejected crisis management assistance. His PR firm, Henderson and Crane, severed ties in April. A source close to the firm stated, "It's impossible to help someone who doesn't want to be helped." The final blow came in April 2024, when Vanity Fair abruptly pulled a planned May cover story titled Reynolds' Redemption in the Spotlight. The 12-page feature, completed in January, included a high-profile photo spread and in-depth interview. But editor-in-chief Radhika Jones reportedly killed the piece after new developments emerged in Blake Lively's sealed civil lawsuit against Reynolds. A source revealed that one quote from the interview, "Sometimes good guys have to get their hands dirty," was deemed legally and publicly indefensible. The article was shelved. All promotion was pulled. The redemption arc was over. Before it began. The internal documents, obtained by investigative journalist Lana Corsetti, paint a disturbing picture. Rather than supporting therapeutic efforts, the fund reportedly moved over $3.2 million in unexplained withdrawals under vague labels like executive health bonuses and confidential stress reimbursements. These funds were funneled through accounts in Luxembourg and the Cayman Islands, raising red flags among IRS analysts. One transfer of $175,000, marked emergency wellness support, was traced to a former film set assistant linked to Reynolds. A confidential audit, now leaked, alleges the fund was little more than a money laundering front disguised as philanthropy. The report outlines how legal teams, not therapists, dominated retreat gatherings in remote luxury resorts like those in Montenegro and St. Lucia. Attendees were required to surrender phones, sign strict NDAs, and participate in what one source called elite crisis management bunkers. Photos from one retreat showed Reynolds and Diddy seated at a long table with lawyers, no counselors present. Blake Lively's name appears in the fund's IRS 990 filings as a co-executive advisor, now placing her under federal scrutiny. Though she hasn't commented publicly, records confirm she attended multiple board meetings and signed off on quarterly reports that forensic accountants now deem misleading.